All right, students, you're going to need your own paper for today's lesson, and we're going to talk about special products with binomials. Okay, so we're still going to use FOIL when we're multiplying two binomials, but we're going to start talking about perfect squares. Okay, so what are perfect squares, guys? So a perfect square would be like 4, because what is the square root of 4? That would be 2. All right, another perfect square would be 9. Square root of 9 would be 3. So you're taking the square root of these. Or you're taking 2 squared and 3 squared. These are perfect squares, okay? All right, so let's look at this first perfect square. Okay? So we have a perfect square here, and what we're going to do is let's go ahead and multiply this out by using FOIL, which is something you should know. Okay, so we do our first, x times x is x squared. We do our outer, x times 4 is a positive 4x. We do our inner, x times 4 is a positive 4x. And then we do our last. Remember, we get a little smiley face here. So 4 times 4 is 16. So let's simplify. Okay, so what we have here is we have multiplied out this perfect square, okay? And we end up with x squared plus 8x plus 16. So what we're going to do is we're going to work this backwards. All right? So 16 is a perfect square, and we have 1 here, which is a perfect square. So let's look at that. All right, so what is the square root of 16? 4. And the square root of 1? 1. Because 4 times 4 is 16, and 1 squared is 1. And this is something we will be doing, I believe, with our next unit. So what we have here, 16 is a perfect square. So the square root of 16 is 4. And then 1 is a perfect square. So that's how we got this 16, or 4 times 4, positive. So 4 plus 4 is the 8. So we work it backwards. And we get what we started with. So that's called a perfect square. Let's try another one. Let's say we have x plus 6 squared. Let's go ahead and FOIL it. So you do your first. You do your outer, you do your inner, and you do your last. Combine like terms. Okay, let's see if we can work it backwards. Okay, 36 is a perfect square, so the square root of 36 is 6. We worked it backwards. Okay? Now let's try this with subtracting. Let's say we have x minus 5 squared. And let's FOIL it first and see what the difference is. So do your first. Do your outer, negative 5 times x, don't forget that's a negative 5, do your inner, negative 5x, and do your last. And be careful here, that's negative 5 times negative 5 gives you a positive 25. Combine like terms. what's different when you're subtracting with perfect squares, okay? So, square root of 25 is 5. However, if we do this, right here in the middle, when we take 5x and plus 5x, we're going to get a positive 10x. So it's not a positive 10x. It's negative. So I want you to start thinking, I almost gave the answer there. I want you to start thinking, we know that we need 25. And the square root of 25 is 5 times 5. And we know we need a positive 25. But we need those when we add them to get a negative 10. So can we also take negative 5 times negative 5 and get a positive 25? Yes. And then if we take negative 5 plus negative 5, do we get negative 10? Yes. So that's how we work it backwards and get x minus 5 squared instead of x plus 5 squared. Okay, let's look at the last one. So we have x minus 7 squared. Let's FOIL it. So do your first. X times x is x squared. Do your outer. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. Do your inner. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And do your last, that's negative 7 times negative 7, positive 49. Combine like terms. Okay, let's see if we can work it backwards. So we have x, and we have x. So, 49, perfect square. Square root of 49 is either 7 times 7, or it's either negative 7 times negative 7. Well, we need a negative 14, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the two negatives. And we've just worked it backwards. Okay? And that's it. I'll see you in class tomorrow.